Welcome to my video with a basic demonstration of the differences between my standard Shires 401 C trumpet made with a yellow brass bell and my 401 G trumpet, which is made with a gold brass bell. This instrument also happens to be unplated, so there is a slight confounder there in terms of the sound and response of the instrument, but the material, the base material, is going to be the larger factor here. I will produce a separate video getting into some more detail, but I wanted to keep this one short and targeted on the recorded material. And I will share just a few basic ideas regarding the differences between these. I'd like to give just a brief backstory. A couple of years ago or so, I purchased a Shires piccolo trumpet, and I was able to try two of them side by side. One was a standard yellow brass, and the other was the gold brass version of the same instrument. And what I discovered is that it took a little more effort overall at any dynamic, on any note, on any given note, to produce sound, to produce decibels on the gold brass versus the yellow brass. However, on the high extreme end of the dynamic, into the fortissimo range and beyond, and think of something like Rite of Spring as opposed to, Bach Magnificat, I discovered that I had more dynamic capabilities with that instrument, with the gold brass, than I did with the yellow brass, and I was able to push it louder without the sound getting hard, and that was quite interesting to me. Another slightly related but a little different observation is when I did something extremely high, for example, the Brandenburg passage with the high A's for the B-flat piccolo trumpet. It was just a nicer sound, I thought, on the G, at least the way I played it. So maybe I was doing something wrong. I'm not going to say that it's going to be that same way for every player, but that's the way it was for me. So after playing that instrument and really enjoying it for a long, and I'm still loving that instrument. It was absolutely the right choice for me. Although the other instrument was spectacular as well, but this is just for what I wanted to do with it. It was a little better. And I've been playing a 401 for years, 401 C trumpet. And so I called up Shires and I said, maybe could you guys make me a 401 C trumpet, but with a gold brass bell? And so they did. And so this is exploring the differences between these instruments. And just in general, I found that same comparison that I did between the piccolo trumpets, that the yellow brass instrument produces a very broad range of color and definitely very dynamic. For an orchestral instrument, it's really spectacular. And, very rich sound, beautiful silky high end, and relatively easy to play, and just, a great overall instrument. When I got the gold brass, and I'll keep my comments brief for now, I've got more to say on it. I'll save that for another video, a little more in depth. But it was a wilder animal, so to speak. It was not quite as tame a beast. There were wilder, more extreme shifts of tone color, particularly with regard to the dynamic that I'm playing. So the general trend would be for it to be darker on the soft end and brighter on the loud end. You might even think of the way you get a similar result on a modern, well-crafted German rotary trumpet. You're going to get the same kind of thing. You're going to get a little wilder, a little bit wider range of color response, not dynamic response necessarily, but color response. So that's what I experienced with this, and one of my first thoughts when I really started getting into this instrument as well, this might be a really great instrument for Strauss or Mahler. And so I selected several Strauss excerpts to play here. And in each case, I play it on both instruments. I'm using in each selection, for each specific excerpt, I am playing the same mouthpiece between both instruments. My gain settings and equalization, microphone placement, and all that is the same between both instruments. I did my best to keep it absolutely as pristine a process as I could, just so that the comparisons were fair. I might have messed up once or twice and done something a little wrong, but I really did my best. And I used the same musical impulse. I used the same musical intention. I think that's really important here. I use the same musical intention. Some of the musical results are different. It's fascinating to hear the difference. And there are some flaws in my performance. And some of these issues that I experienced, some of the weaknesses in my playing, show up differently between these two models. And you will find that I was able to just, I don't want to say too much. I want you to please listen critically. That's fine. But listen to how I'm making music. Don't, try not to get into the ticky-tack stuff, or that note was sharp, or that attack wasn't as good, and, whatever. Really try to divine my musical intent and see how you feel about these differences. I will end this discussion for now, and I'll let you listen. And in a subsequent video, I will share more in detail observations and comments and some general ideas about how to select an instrument. In this particular case, these instruments are essentially identical, except for the material being used. The interior is, to my knowledge, the interior dimensions are identical. They're all made to the same specification. So there's no difference in the lead pipe, no difference in the bore, no difference in the tuning slide, or anything else. There is one possibly confounding difference, which is that the gold brass trumpet doesn't have silver plate, and I realize that can affect the sound. But I believe it to be a minor difference compared to the bass difference between the two metals. So that's the big one. Anyway, enjoy, and I'll follow this up later with some more observations. Thanks.
Thank you.